welcome to Cultural Magazine, where we bring you the latest cultural events taking place around the nation. Let's go take a look at today's episode.
Under the patronage of Her Excellency Mrs. Intisar Sisi, the Minister of Culture, Dr. Ines Abdeldaim, is expected to hold a press conference at the Cairo Opera House to announce the details of the launch of the State Award for the Young Creator. The prize was recently introduced with the aim of promoting arts and literature. The conference will be attended by Dr. Hisham Azmi, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Culture, and the leading figures at the Ministry of Culture. It is worthy of note that the House of Representatives had approved the new award called the State Award for the Young Creator, based on the project presented by the Ministry of Culture to the Ministerial Council. The award goes along with the government's efforts to create a suitable environment to stimulate innovation and support the young talents and encourage them to express their creativity and sponsor their production in the fields of culture and arts. Within the activities of the cultural and intellectual activities organized by the Cairo Opera House, headed by Dr. Magdi Sabir, the Creative Saloon recently held an evening entitled Cairo of El Mu'izz at the Small Theater, with the participation of veteran actress Samira Abdelaziz and presented by the poet Muhammad Bahget. The dialogue deals with features from the history of Cairo, which was at the time called the Jewel of the East, and reviews the many phases it went through and the most important features that distinguish it. The year 969 holds an important event in the history of Egypt, as it witnessed the establishment of Cairo as the capital of the country on the 7th of July by the leader Gohar al-Siqili, to be the seat of the Fatimid Caliph after the conquest of Egypt. Al-Siqili was keen since his arrival to establish the capital of the Fatimid Caliphate, so he chose the sandy plain north of Fustat, where it was empty of buildings, and he placed a foundation stone for the city and surrounded it with a high wall on which bells hung to mark the start of work on building the city upon hearing its chimes. Cairo first occupied a plot of land of 340 acres extending to Bab Zuela in the south and the Door of Happiness and the Door of Kantara in the west, together with two other gates on each side. The city, whose construction lasted 3 years, is bordered on the east by the Muqattam Hills, on the west by the Great Bay, and on the south by the city of Qata'a, built by Ahmad ibn Tulun. The Sicilians formulated a special site for each tribe or division of the army and began to establish the Azhar Mosque, and as soon as it was completed, El Mu'izz arrived in Cairo in the year 972. Al-Mu'izz resided in the palace built by Gohar Saqili, and on the second day he went out to greet him. Cairo has since become the seat of the Fatimid Caliphate, and its subordination to the Sunni Abbasid Caliphate was cut off, and he was the first Fatimid Caliph to rule his state from Cairo, his new capital. Under the patronage of Her Excellency the Minister of Culture, Dr. Ines Abdidaim, the National Cinema Center headed by scriptwriter Mohammed Al-Basousi opens the Port Said Cinema Club in cooperation with the Port Said Governorate. This comes within the framework of the National Cinema Center's endeavor to spread culture of the love of cinema in the various governorates of Egypt. It is also in the belief of the center's necessity to support young filmmakers by presenting their films to the public. For his part, the scriptwriter Basousi stated that choosing to establish the club in the city of Port Said coincides with choosing it as the Egyptian capital of culture in 2021. The club's activities will be held at the Cultural Center in Port Said. On the fourth Saturday of every month, activities should open with the screening of the short documentary film The Last to Leave Rio by Osama Ayed and the feature film Mystica and Rihanna by Dina Abdessalam.
على رأي المثل الحاجة تقول نيني نيني لما يجي الخايب ويشتريني.
ايه؟ بقدونس؟ الواحد بقى نظره شيش بيش خالص.
واللي ياكل ملوخية في أبيب يجيب لبطنه طبيب.
ايه الكلام الغريب ده؟
After the screening of the films, a symposium will be organized by the film critic Ahmed Assar with the director of the two films to discuss the details of both of them with the audience. It is worth noting that the Port Said Cinema Club is technically supervised by film critic Ahmed Assar, and its activities are held by taking all preventive and precautionary measures, taking into account the obligation to wear medical masks inside the auditorium and inviting the general public to attend the club's activities. Port Said Governorate is one of the canal governorates of Egypt. It is located in the northeastern part of the country, overlooking the Mediterranean Sea at the northern gate of the Suez Canal, making it the second most important harbor in Egypt. Its capital is the city of Port Said, and it is the home of the Suez Canal Authority, the historical administrative building, and the lighthouse of Port Said.
The Cairo Opera House has long been a cultural hub in Egypt, where it brings in a lot of cultural events that take place there, from singing to dancing to folkloric art. Whatever you think you can think of here in Egypt, you will find. Let's go find out what the Opera House has in store for us.
Cairo Opera Ballet Company, under the supervision of its artistic director Arminia Kamel, presented on the Grand Theater in the Cairo Opera House a complete selection of the most famous international, classical and contemporary ballet, accompanied by Cairo Opera Orchestra led by Maestro Neyer Negi.
Tonight, the performance has a big variety of items. The first act is the Danse Concroise, a performance that was already done some years ago by Thierry Malandin, a very famous French choreographer. And it's the story of four couples meeting, let's say, in a cabaret, in a nightclub. And they are knowing each other, and each one has a particular character. So in the choreography is explained the mood of each couple, and they are dancing together, and then at the very end they split. We don't know why, but this is a choreography. So this is a meeting among four couples, and I can say that is a jewel as a choreography. So we are repeating sometimes each 2 years, not to lose this opportunity that we have to have this choreography. The second act is a variety of big pas de deux from the classic repertoire. So we have Diana and Actaeon, Giselle, Don Quixote, and even we have a very beautiful ballet composed by Ateya Sharara, and Dr. Hassan Sharara is playing his violin on stage. It's a ballet of around 15 minutes. It's called Oriental Step. And it's something that I was choreographing with my late husband, Dr. Abdelmonem Kamel. And this is one of for me, one of the best items in this evening, even because Dr. Hassan Sharara is playing with us and gives a particular touch. All the pas de deux are done as an original choreography. I mean Don Quixote, Giselle, Diana Actaeon, and Spartacus. Sorry, I was forgetting Spartacus, a very important item. And all the soloists of the Cairo Ballet Company are involved in the second act. For dancers and for the audience is completely another feeling, because as you know, the musicians are not just playing, but gives a special energy. And the sound of the music live is completely different from the playback, even if sometimes the playback is every time the same and very clean, but what we want is the human part of the player, the musician playing, and the dancer dancing. This is a completely another feeling.
It is worth noting that the Cairo Opera Ballet Company was founded in 1966 and was affiliated with the High Institute of Ballet. Its members were trained with experts from the Soviet Union and presented its first performance in the same year. In its beginnings, it was influenced by classical Russian ballet, and then the need to search for a unique character for the group to preserve its distinction and identity, in addition to presenting contemporary performances, so the contemporary choreography began to appear in their work through Egyptian directors and choreographers, and it became one of the themes of the National Cultural Center in the Cairo Opera House in 1991.
It's a gala, and it's pieces of famous ballet. And I'm doing today Don Quixote, and because of situation now in the world, so we are not making whole ballet, so we are making galas. This is second gala this year. So that's it. This is the performance. My feelings is great about that, because live music, it's the most life, you feel that something happened now, when I'm working on the playback, I don't like it so much. And I think we choose this time Action, and we choose Giselle and Don Quixote, and piece from Spartacus, yes. And I think we did this Spartacus and Giselle, we make it in November and February.
The Cairo Opera Ballet Company presented many full international ballet and toured various countries of the world and different continents.
We have here 4 performances in Cairo, and 2 in the Manhour, and 2 in Alexandria. The same performance, it's 2 parts. First part, it's one modern dance. It's like 20 minutes. It speak about 4 different characters, 4 boys and girls, and they meet each other in like bus station, something like this. And each of them, he have a different characters. That's why it's a lot of comedy situations happen on stage. I wish you like it. It's a choreography Thierry Molandani, it's from Opera Paris. And this performance, I am so happy because I make a first performance of this ballet since 1999, something like this. And today also I repeat the same role, and I'm so glad to repeat one of my favorite. It's in my first step as a solist with Cairo Opera Ballet Company. And second part, it will be a gala concert. It's a different adagio and ballet from famous ballet repertoire we do in Cairo Opera Ballet Company. And I make a role of Spartacus, one of my lovely role. I make it in Egypt. Of course, the basic things it's classical ballet, and from this classical ballet, it's coming modern, contemporary, jazz, dance, a lot of different kind of dance. That's why when we are studying in Academy of Art, Institute of Ballet, that's why we learn all different style of dancing. That's why when we have in Europe some choreography, he come with his new style, something like this, and he started to learn us new steps, new styles. That's why we're so happy. And also the music, also it's a classic music. It's a Hungarian dance of Brahms. That's why also it's not so far from classical repertoire, but we make a little bit in comedy ways. That's why it's I think, you know, Egyptian dancers, they have a little bit some funny stuff, you know. That's why we are putting and make a mix between the choreography from France and Egyptian blood, something like this.
Ballet is different than any other dance forms. It can tell a story with no words, no lyrics, only effortless movements entwining with feelings and music that has its own magic and identity. Shuruq Bikir, Culture Magazine.
You're still watching Cultural Magazine. Stay tuned for more here on Cultural Magazine and the latest happening.
Egypt's Baghdadi Jazz Big Band took the stage of the Cairo Opera House Open Theatre. Founded by conductor Magdi Baghdadi, the band played their usual repertoire that combines American and Egyptian tunes and standards like Brazil, April in Paris, New York, Moon Dance, Fly Me to the Moon, Mambo, Jumbo, and others. The first and only jazz big band in Cairo, playing American and Egyptian tunes of the 1990s and 30s, 40s, and much more, founded by Dr. Magdi Baghdadi. The Egyptian big band is well known to the local scene with regular performances at the Cairo Opera House and numerous other venues. After graduating from the Cairo Conservatoire in 1982, Magdi Boghdadi became the principal trumpet player with the Cairo Symphony Orchestra until 1985. Afterwards, he received his PhD from the High School of Music and Productive Arts in Frankfurt, Germany in 1990. Boghdadi continued studying wind band, conducting with professors Timothy Renish, James Croft, and Boulder Bromenden in the United Kingdom. He became the conductor of the Cairo Conservatoire Wind Band Orchestra from 1997 to 2000, as well as participating in the Belford Music Festival in France and the Sousa International Festival in Tunisia in 2000. In the interim, Magdi founded the Boghdadi Jazz Band from a small formation to its present state, consisted of talented young Egyptian musicians. He recently conducted the Cairo Opera Orchestra and the Cairo Symphony Orchestra.
This brings us to the end of this episode of Cultural Magazine. Hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for more on Nile TV.